With the Octane line dead, RIDGID came out with a new brushless 3-speed impact driver that has some pretty awesome specs. While going through this, I mean, it's cool, right? I have a couple surprises for you. Stick with me. This is it, RIDGID's new 18-volt brushless 3-speed impact driver, model number R862311. Pretty sweet with 2,300 inch-pounds, 0 to 4,200 IPM. Top RPMs, no load, are going to be 2,900. And when we look at the bottom here, we look at the edge, we do not see any what we'll call octane or max output connections. All we have are the two connections in the bottom. So that leads me to the question of, will this impact driver perform better with max output batteries, octane batteries, or just simple normal batteries? We're going to put that to the test. The chuck in front, very simple. You just push this guy in, it locks it in place, push out, it will spit that out most of the time. Forward and reverse is the same. You still have your lockout position in the center. Your modes are in back. You can see that orange light. It's fairly dim. There is a LED that seems to be towards the top here. It works. Outside, it's a little bit different to see, but it is what it is. I am a manual switch guy. I don't like the Milwaukee stuff that has that push button, because this push button eventually just wears away. I love to see the old analog stuff, but that's not where tools are going. Same grip as we've seen before, less knurling in back, more knurling up front. Seems to fit well. Let's get to pushing this guy and see what happens. I've had some time to play with this. Mode 1, super controllable. Mode 2, very nice, middle grounds, 2,000 RPMs, works great. Mode 3, pretty well rocks on this, but what I want to do is go through some larger testing with this, just with the batteries, to give you an idea of how it's going to perform with different batteries. And how well we're looking at, let's look at the max output stuff and just see how it compares to maybe the 5s or some of the octanes. So I'm going to try to time this via the computer. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out, but let's just put this guy on level 3 and put in some of these ledger locks. Not too bad. That was 2 amp hour octane, or max output, 4 amp hour max output. Felt like it was a little bit faster. Let's go to the 5 amp hour. Again, there's no external type of pins on the outside, so it's all going to be about the battery output, not communication that there is a better battery in there. I don't know the numbers, but that felt better than the 4 amp hour max output. Let's go with the 3 amp hour octane. I seen it, so did you. That bit, or that fastener, just dug in and went. There was no spinning. So times are going to be off on that slightly. And obviously we're in different parts of the wood, but that one took it and went. So 3 amp hour felt just about as good as the 5, I would say. I know times are going to show that the 3 amp hour rocked. It's really not as well as it looked, but let's go with the 6. Buried that one a little bit, but it felt very, very well. Now this is absolutely insane, right? But we might as well try it. 9 amp hour. she's going. Now, we haven't done much. And the interesting part, front's already pretty warm. That's about as long as I'm gonna put my hand on it. So, smaller impacts, obviously heat builds up. It's interesting, just because we have the Hitachi or Metabo HPT triple hammer here. Let's just give this a go and see what it will do, just for a comparison. Felt slower, 3 amp hour battery. Hard to say, but it didn't feel like it was just boom, that much better. This has always been one of my more favorite impacts. I don't know why, just seems to fit, and I kind of expected it to go a little quicker. Either way, let's go into something that's a little bit more intense on this, and I'm using Makita bits here. Not that it's a problem, but I've run across this every once in a while trying to put something in here, and it's not always happy. Maybe because I was doing it wrong, but it shouldn't. It's not always thrilled with what I'm trying to do with it, and maybe that's user error. Let's put in some little bit larger lags, because my testing prior showed that this got this bad boy nice and warm. 4 amp hour max output. Buried it, complete. To the point where we'll have to do some work to get that guy out. No big deal. 4 amp hour max output. Just because, let's see what this 5 amp hour does. Buried it just the same, and to be dead honest, from here, is it my head or is it faster? I don't know. Either way, still impressive. I know a lot of other impacts that'll do this, but that's a good thing for what RIDGID is going to show on their new top-of-the-line brushless stuff. So it's interesting for me to see a little bit of how it's going to perform with stuff that I would probably pull out an impact wrench to do rather than an impact driver. I think it would handle those larger lags much better. Killing me, Smalls. So I pulled out the ledger locks. I was going to work on getting the lags out, and I set this down, working on the Tesla behind me, and find this oil, which it's probably not oil. For how thick it is, it's probably grease. It's fairly warm that just started separating a little bit. So you can see here in the center, right around probably this seal in here, and it came out and started leaking down. Maybe a little bit for me holding it up here. I also put a story on YouTube. So I don't know. Why am I having bad luck with all this stuff? But either way, this still is rocking. So if you're looking at this tool for really larger stuff, it works great. The difference in it, if you need max output batteries, you know, this old 5 amp hour that's sitting here seems to work great on a lot of these tools at this point in time. We don't have the large 6 and 8 max output batteries out yet, but at the same point in time, I know with the Octane, we were like, was it worth the upgrade to get the Octane 6, or was it worth the upgrade to get the Octane 9? It felt like you know, a few years ago, it was. And we always led people down the road. If you're going to get the Octane tools, get the Octane batteries. It made sense. In this case, we don't have the large batteries out. So at this point in time, obviously if you have Octane batteries, use them, enjoy them. They seem to help out a little bit here, but the 2 and 4 that's here, I don't know that we're getting a lot out of them. At least I don't think the 4 has ever outperformed the 5 when we put them in a test together. And should we expect so? I mean, it's all about the amps that the battery can put out, not about its runtime. So is it running, you know, somewhere between 30 and 60 amps, or what's going on? Is it somewhere between 60 and 70 amps in this 2P battery? I don't know that at this point in time. I plan to find that out hopefully pretty soon, but realistically, the 5's doing great on this stuff. And it's a decent size. One big thing that this max output battery seems to lack, in my opinion, and this 5 amp hour has been beat to death a little bit too much, is rubber. Nobody seems to be talking about that. I mean, we can set these down. We have rubber on the back, the sides, or the front. There's nothing on these new max output 4s or 2s. So while they're smaller, and that's great, I like the size, it would have been nice to get a little bit of rubber so that when they bounce, hit the ground, or something happens, that they're a little bit protected. I don't know. So as we move forward, you know, in some ways we're getting better stuff, supposedly, but I feel like we're losing some things too. Not that it's a huge deal, but to some people it will be, I guarantee that. This tool here, heavy duty wise, works. Pick it up, check it out. I don't know that I would pay more for it than maybe an Octane that's going out, although I do like this one much better than the Octane that was out there. And I think the specs wise, it has it. Another thing that I'm gonna say it doesn't have it, and I really love that it doesn't have it, is the stupid auto function. I know some people use it, again, old school. But the one thing I will say on all these, this dude's pretty hot right now, just from what we did here. Seems to be the wave here of what's going on. I'm gonna do more of this stuff. I'm gonna abuse it quite a bit more. I'm gonna get used to it a little bit more before I start pushing it, and I'll figure out where that edge is. I'll come back, do a follow-up video. Thanks for your time, guys. As always, give us a like in this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for your time. Shit, that's hot. Have a great day.